Hello, my name is Cameron Smith, and this is my presentation on inclusive leadership for my AEP 855 Educational Leadership course. So we're actually going to get started with a quick video. It's a pretty awesome video by the Lilly Company. They actually brought in a communications leader to interview some of their associates and also their VPs and chairmen and leaders about how inclusive leadership was involved in their company. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Antonia Collins, and I am the Communications Chair of the African American Network. Today I'm at Lilly's annual African American Forum to get attendees' thoughts on diversity and inclusion at work. Let's hear what they have to say. I think that at Lilly we definitely are making strides towards a strong culture of diversity and inclusion. I think leadership definitely acknowledges that it's an issue, and with programs like this we're starting to identify ways to tackle those issues, and I can appreciate that.
I saw a definition today that I like of inclusive leadership, which is really the ability for everybody in the organization to bring their authentic selves to work, but we have to have a culture and we have to have leaders who enable people to do that. So I think that's a key learning for all of us and something I took away today.
So I think that even there is very powerful. You have a marketing associate, and then you have a chairman within the company, both giving their views on leadership, both of them in the same room, sharing ideas and bouncing things off each other. And I think that that is key in inclusive leadership. Not only do the leaders lead, but also the people within the infrastructure also have a leadership role, and they can bounce and have conversations, bounce things off each other, and grow together.
Opinion, a check mark. Open forums like this where we actually are able to listen and ask questions without fear, then it really opens and gave us a more understanding, all of us, for us to better make decisions moving forward.
You saw the difference between how black Lilly employees feel, how white Lilly employees feel, and how other people of color feel. And there were stark differences that I think we need to address. And I like that the actual panel was meant for us to address those things.
So even as you heard the young man, Mr. Ramirez, who's a recruiter, talk about how he's able to ask questions without fear. And then you saw the other young man there talking about how the panel, you can even look here, you see the panel, people from all over, different races, different types of people, and also in the crowd. Even as we go here, you can see that the crowd is very diverse. There's our panel there again. And you can see that the crowd is very diverse and able to hear what the thoughts and opinions of the other people, other sects of people is. And I think that that's very important, because if you have everybody separated and you let these people talk over here and these people talk over here and they never come together and hear each other, you will never really form any kind of inclusive leadership. So you really need to bring people together and let them share and grow together in order to include them within the leadership process.
Lilly grow as far as diversity is concerned. It's probably been 3 or 4 years where you can start to see the shift where Lilly is playing a leadership role as far as diversity is concerned.
I think diversity is extremely important in the workplace, and I have a younger brother, and I'm definitely going to go home and talk to him about that. I think it's really important for him to decide on not only a diverse university, but as well as a diverse company such as Lilly that embraces and wants to make their people feel welcome and make everybody feel like they're a part of something big.
So we've heard from a lot of different people here at the forum today, and I think that one thing that is clear across all the people that we interviewed was that we are going in the right direction, but we still have lots of work to do.
And I love how it ends there, saying that you're going in the right direction, but you still have work to do. You can never get to that place to where you feel like you've reached the peak and you can go no higher, because once you reach there, then you kind of just plateau and you never really grow. So you have to always be looking to grow as an inclusive leader. So I really enjoyed that video. So now we're going to go to another video, how inclusive leadership can be included within a business. We're not going to watch this entire video, but it does bring out some really good points that I do want to check out. So here we go.
Great leadership is at the heart of great businesses and great organizations. With a rapidly changing economic and demographic landscape, all organizations need inclusive leaders who can help them make the most of their people.
And I have to stop it right there, because when she says help and make the most of their people, if you have an inclusive leadership base, if you have a diverse diversified group of leadership, then it makes it much easier to reach a diversified consumer base. If you have a bunch of people that are the same, then you kind of put yourself in a place to where you're not really able to reach further than what you've set up. So I think it's really important to be diversified within your leadership and inclusive within your leadership if you want to reach a diversified consumer
We
base.
undertook some research on inclusive leadership. 84% of people said that their inclusive leader made them feel more motivated. 81% said that their inclusive leader improved their performance and productivity.
And I have to stop there again because I have to agree with that. I believe our principal at our school is very inclusive. He actually gives different opportunities to different staff members throughout the year to lead leadership, professional development sessions. And I actually did it earlier this week with a co-teacher of mine. We led professional development, and I can't tell you how motivating it was to see that our principal, our leadership team, trusted us as educators to lead other educators. So the teachers came to us and they asked us questions and they picked our brains, and we gave some examples of some innovative things that we do within the classroom, and everybody left there feeling empowered because our teachers were infused with new information and we were infused with this powerful motivation tool that our principal believed in us enough to allow us to lead other educators. So I think that this number here, these two numbers, speak volumes of the power of inclusive leadership. And I'm going to go back to that actually, and we're going to watch just a little bit more of this video.
So what is a great inclusive leader? Inclusive leaders have 3 core qualities. They can adapt their style and are aware of the diversity of the people they work with and manage. They are skilled at developing and supporting strong and diverse talent. They are innovative. They value and foster small innovations which can improve quality, productivity.
And I believe that's enough there. But I think as a leader, you have to be able to evolve. You have to be able to listen. And you have to be able to understand that you're working with a lot of different types of people from different places, different households, different dialects sometimes. And you have to be able to evaluate that and figure out what's the best way to reach these people so that you can utilize the leadership qualities that they have within them. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move to some examples of how I believe you can use inclusive leadership within the classroom. And I love this quote by Peter Senge: "People don't resist change, they resist being changed." I believe in order to become an inclusive leader, you have to accept change, because you're going to have to let go of a little bit of the power of being the leader of your classroom. So I believe that an educator that practices inclusive leadership with their students is an educator that supports and cultivates the student voice. So some of the things that I do in order to impose inclusive leadership within my classroom is I model the way by providing explicit directions and trusting my students to follow through. So here's an example, a screenshot of one of our discussions that we've done in my class, online discussion. And as you see, I provide very explicit directions. You are going to create a lead, which in parentheses is an introduction to your article for the one that you're writing. Follow the steps below and be creative. Open and view the links below in a separate tab, very explicit. Decide what type of lead you would like to use, hard, soft, or anecdotal, and then reply to the main post with your lead. But do not post what type of lead you choose. I'm being very explicit because then we're going to come back and we're going to analyze these leads. Different students will analyze each other, and we'll decide what kind of lead certain students wrote. So then the last thing after you finish, begin working on your body and use the quotes as the muscle of your article. We're going to talk about quotes which come from good questions and interview tips here in just a minute. But then you can see I have several links there, and I just give the keys over to them. It's up to them now to take this thing and run with it and decide which direction they want to go. So they're seeing that their teacher trusts them. I'm giving them the directions, and then I'm trusting them to take on their leadership role and their job. So the next thing I do is I inspire a shared vision by providing the students with a job or a title within the classroom or small learning community. So I show them what needs to be done, I tell them what their job is, and then I give them a job. So in my Intro to Journalism class, we have an editor-in-chief, managing editor, copy editor, and photojournalist. All of these students are also reporters for the different publications that they work for. And then we have broadcast journalism jobs, which is a producer, director, anchor, reporter, and cameraman. All of these students are responsible for a job. So even if they are not the editor-in-chief or the producer, director, managing editor, they are still responsible for leading out at whatever job that they've been given. So the producer is not going to be stepping on the cameraman's toes trying to do the cameraman's job, because the cameraman is expected to be the expert in that field. So these students get these jobs, and they take these jobs very, very seriously. Because they know that if they don't do their job, then they don't get their grade. So it's a very powerful tool in getting them to be very strong leaders. And the last thing, allow students to challenge the process by facilitating student-led discussion. So here's another discussion post where a student pointed out what points they would emphasize within doing a successful interview. And she said that she would prepare her goals ahead of time, and she thinks that that would help the interview process go a lot more smoothly. And you can see several students came below her agreeing with her post, but also within these agreements, there's also the opportunity to give your own opinion. Maybe it's a different opinion, and maybe it's a disagreement, of course, in a respectful way. But they're able to challenge the process, and they're able to let their voice be heard, and it's always powerful for them to actually get feedback. And I also have students who actually go back and they respond to their feedback. So it's a very powerful tool, allowing them to challenge the process. Now, there are some possible challenges that you will face, and one of the issues is in the realm of enabling others to act. Because naturally, you're going to have like a leader that kind of rises to the top, and they become kind of that alpha in the group. And you will have group members that are okay with just holding on to their coattails and trying to coast their way to a good grade. But I think that's where it really comes in, where you have to encourage the heart of your students and let them know that you have to take this seriously. I have a rubric set up in place, and also a daily log set up in place, that our students have to prove that even though they had a good leader in their group, that they brought something to the group. And I have personal discussions with our students, and when I see one slacking off, I think as an educator, you have to pull them from that group and let them know, like, I'm watching you, and I believe that you have this inside of you, but you have to show that, because if you don't show that, then you are not really going to achieve what you're trying to achieve here, which is a good grade. So you have to encourage that heart by any means necessary. Another issue that you could face is the rising of a negative influence in your leader. That is something that has to be nipped in the bud. You have to figure out a way to pepper the salt with a little bit of sugar. You have to figure out how to rise, I don't know, maybe a kind of an uprising of a positive leadership within the group, because if you allow that negativity to fester, it could ruin the whole entire group. And also, you could have somebody leading that doesn't practice inclusive leadership and doesn't listen to their group mates. And those two things, you really have to nip them in the bud early, and because they can erode the group foundation and the inclusive leadership within your group, and it could really make it tough for that group to be successful in the future. So here are the sources that I use. I use the initial video that we talked about in our discussion, and also the two videos that I showed within the duration of this video. And then I also use two posts that we have discussed within our class. Those you have to have a login to view, but if you would like to view them, contact me, and maybe we can Skype and we can share ideas, and I can actually go through and show you those discussions by kind of sharing the screen. But I hope that throughout this process I showed you something, or you gained something from this discussion. I believe inclusive leadership is the way to go. It's the only way to really encourage the people within an organization, whether it be the classroom setting, whether it be the setting of the school setting where the principal, leadership team, and teachers, or even if it's in a professional setting, another profession outside of education. I truly believe that inclusive leadership is a proven and strong way of leading a group to a successful place. Thank you for your time.